She held on for far too long, until one day, she finally didn't. This is the story of the day she finally let go. Emma carried pain like it was her sacred duty. A broken relationship, a chapter that had ended abruptly, leaving behind a trail of unanswered apologies and questions she knew she would never get answers to. Her heart was heavy, a constant, dull ache in her chest. But somehow, her hope was heavier. It was a stubborn, flickering flame in the storm of her sorrow, refusing to be extinguished. She believed, with every fiber of her being, that if she just held on tight enough, she could somehow mend the past. Day after day, she went through the motions of life, but she wasn't truly living. She was a ghost in her own story, haunted by memories. The empty side of the bed felt like a canyon. Every song on the radio seemed to be written just for her, a cruel reminder of what she had lost. Friends would call, their voices laced with concern, and she would put on a brave face, saying, "I'm fine," really, while her world was crumbling inside. She'd scroll through old photos, her finger tracing the lines of a smiling face that now felt like a stranger's. Each picture was a tiny dagger, a sweet poison she willingly drank, hoping to find a cure in the very thing that was hurting her. Her pain was a labyrinth. She prayed for signs, for a message from the universe, for anything that would give her a reason to keep holding on or a clear signal to let go. She begged for closure, a final conversation, a neat little bow to tie round the jagged edges of her heartbreak. But the universe remained silent, and closure never came. In the quiet of the night, she would replay conversations in her head, dissecting every word, every pause, every inflection. She'd rewrite the scripts 1,000 times. What if I had said this instead? Or maybe if I had done that, things would be different. She became an archaeologist of her own past, digging through the ruins of her relationship, searching for a single clue that could explain why everything fell apart. She tried to fix what was never hers to fix. She sent long, heartfelt messages into the void, hoping for a response that would validate her pain, that would tell her she wasn't crazy for still caring so much. But the more she held on, the more she felt life gently whispering to her, "This isn't yours anymore. This weight, this burden, this story. It's time to put it down." The whispers were in the gentle breeze that rustled the leaves, in the sun that warmed her face, in the laughter of strangers passing by. Life was moving on, and it was inviting her to move on with it. But letting go felt like a betrayal. It felt like admitting defeat, like saying that all the love, all the memories, all the effort meant nothing. It felt like erasing a part of herself. So she resisted. She tightened her grip, believing that her loyalty to the pain was a testament to the depth of her love. Her friends watched her, their hearts aching for her. They tried to tell her, "Emma, you deserve to be happy," but she couldn't hear them over the noise of her own broken heart. Her hope, once a beacon, had become a prison. She was trapped in the waiting for a past that was never coming back. One crisp morning, the sun streamed through her window, casting a harsh, unforgiving light. She walked to the bathroom and stared at her reflection in the mirror. She didn't recognize the person looking back. The eyes were hollow, rimmed with the exhaustion of sleepless nights. The lines on her face seemed deeper, etched by worry and sorrow. She looked tired, drained, older than she felt. The vibrant spark that once defined her was gone, replaced by a profound weariness. In that moment, something shifted. It wasn't a loud crack of thunder, but a quiet, internal click. The exhaustion finally outweighed the hope. The desire for peace finally overpowered the need for answers. She looked deep into her own eyes, the eyes of a woman who had fought a long, losing battle, and with a voice that was barely a whisper, a voice that trembled with the weight of everything she had carried for so long. She said 3 quiet words. I release you. She said it to the memory, to the ghost, to the unanswered questions. She said it to the pain that had become her closest companion. She released the need to understand. She released the hope for a different ending. She released the person who had caused her so much pain, but more importantly, she released herself from the obligation to keep carrying it. There was no sudden rush of euphoria. She didn't feel free instantly. The pain didn't magically vanish. The memories didn't fade into oblivion. But for the first time in a very, very long time, her pain loosened its grip. It was like she had been holding a massive, heavy stone, and she had finally set it down on the ground beside her. The stone was still there, but she was no longer crushed beneath its weight. A single tear rolled down her cheek, but it wasn't a tear of sorrow. It was a tear of surrender, of quiet acceptance. It was the first tear of her healing. The days that followed were a gentle unfolding. Weeks passed. Her smile, at first a fragile, fleeting thing, began to return more often, and with more genuine warmth. It started reaching her eyes again. She noticed the small joys she had been blind to for so long. The taste of her morning coffee, the beauty of a sunset, the comfort of a friend's hug. Her energy, which had been depleted by the constant battle in her mind, started to seep back into her bones. She began to sleep through the night without waking up to the ghosts of the past. Her spirit, which had been so heavy and grounded, began to lift. Letting go didn't heal her overnight. It wasn't a magic wand that erased the scars. Healing was a process, a slow and sometimes messy journey. There were days when the ghost of the past would knock on her door, when a familiar scent or a song would send a pang through her heart. But now she knew how to handle it. She would acknowledge the feeling, thank it for the lesson, and then gently show it the door. She was no longer a prisoner of her pain. She was its gentle caretaker, tending to her own wounds with kindness and compassion. She learned that letting go wasn't about forgetting. It was about choosing what to remember. She chose to remember the lessons, the strength she discovered, the love she was capable of. She learned that letting go wasn't about giving up. It was about giving in to the flow of life, trusting that new and beautiful things were waiting for her downstream. It was giving herself permission to be happy again. Letting go didn't heal her overnight, but it gave her the space she needed to heal. It was the clearing in the forest where the sunlight could finally reach the ground and allow new life to grow. The most important lesson she learned was this: letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean the love wasn't real or that the memories don't matter. It simply means you stop carrying what was breaking you. It's an act of self-preservation, an act of profound self-love. It's choosing your own peace over the pieces of a broken past. If you're holding on to something that's weighing you down, maybe it's time to whisper those 3 words to yourself. I release you, not for them, but for you. Thank you for watching. If this story resonated with you, please consider subscribing for more content on healing and finding your way back to yourself.